Well, hello YouTube. Welcome to the channel. My name is Doug. This will hopefully be a short video on how to change the tail light on a 2014 to 2017 Nissan Altima. If you've been on the channel before, you may remember there was also a video on how to change the headlight on this same vehicle model year. I'll put a link to that up at the top if you're interested. When you get into the trunk, the first thing you'll notice is that this liner is in the way, of course. We got to be able to remove that. So turns out there's pop rivets, plastic pop rivets that are holding this thing in, and we have to remove those. There's three that you're interested in. It's these three right here, and this is what you're going to remove so we can pull the liner back to get at the tail light assembly. The biggest one of these pop rivets is a cargo net tie down, so you can see it has a slot in it there. You'll use your flathead screwdriver, go into that slot, and sort of pry it backwards to release it from the background. When you get to the other two rivets, do not do this. This is everybody's first inclination, is to sort of pry it out, but that's not going to work. What will work is having the right tool. This is the easiest way to get these pop rivets out. With this tool, what you're trying to do is get the head of the tool underneath the center of that pop rivet. And as you can see, once you do that, it pops right out with no trouble. Doing it the other way, like we were showing in the first do not do this segment, will break that pop rivet. And you may break them anyway. These things have been in the car for a while. They get old, they may break. So you can usually get this tool with some replacement rivets pretty affordably. Now, if you don't have this tool or you don't want to buy the tool, the cheap way to do this is with your screwdriver, but you have to go and get that center to pop out, not the back of the pop rivet, but the center. And once you've pulled that out, then you can pull the pop rivet out yourself. Now that we have those rivets out, you can pull the trunk liner back, and the next step is to get you a socket or a nut driver. 8mm is what you're looking for, or a 5/16, I believe it is. And what you're going to do is take the nut off of these two bolts here that are holding the taillight assembly in. Now here in my case, I didn't have a deep well socket or an 8mm nut driver with me, so I just made do with one of these little toy tool sets, but they're not tight. The goal is to get these two things off, get the two nuts off, and then you can proceed to the next step. So this taillight assembly has been on this car for almost 10 years, and it's stuck. Remember, it does slide, and you're going to have to put a little force on it to get it to release. You can see here I have to hit it pretty hard to get it to come loose. So just remember, you're pushing backwards on it. Don't push in, push back. And you may have to push kind of hard. You may have to bang it a few times to get it to come loose. All right, once you get it loose, take a look at where the lights are on the outside and see which bulb it is you're trying to remove. And then just a quarter turn to the left will open that assembly, and you can pull the bulb out. And this bulb is not fastened with a clip or anything. It just snaps in. So you'll just grab the bulb and pull it straight out. Okay, the bulb is a 7443 Sylvania. You can pick these up at AutoZone or any local parts place, or there's a link in the description if you want to get them on Amazon. Once you have this bulb, put on some gloves, or put on a glove anyway, because you don't want to touch the bulb with your bare hands. You want to have your skin protected from that bulb, or your bulb protected from the oil on your skin, actually, so that it'll last longer. So grab that bulb, protect it with the glove, and you're going to want to go ahead and put it into the assembly. And then before you put everything back together, you're going to want to test and make sure that it works. So plug the bulb in, and then have your assistant hit the brake pedal, hit the turn signal, make sure that the bulb works correctly in all its various modes.
Turn on the headlight so the running light will be on. And now touch the brake. Okay, let go of the brake. Okay, we're good.
Okay, once you've verified that everything works, it's time to reverse the process and put everything back together. Put the bulb assembly back into the tail light fixture, give it a quarter turn, make sure it's tight, and then you can reapply the taillight fixture to the car. And remember, it slid out, so it has to slide back in as well. So you'll notice there's a couple of places where the tail light has to slide into. So you want to line up everything and slide it into place before you try to get the bolts that are the nuts that need to be tightened back up. It's a little persnickety sometimes. You have to make sure that the two places on the outside line up and slide into place, and that the bolts line up as well to go through the holes in the back of the trunk. So you have to kind of just fiddle with it, but it'll go back into place. Make sure that it's tight when you do. Make sure that the outside is attached and everything looks like it's supposed to. Now you go back into the trunk and put the two nuts back onto the bolts from the taillight assembly and get them good and finger snug before you try to tighten them. Now, once you get ready to tighten these things, don't crank down on them too hard. You don't want to break the taillight assembly by tightening them too tight. So get them good and snug, but not over tight. You may have encountered a couple of pieces of foam rubber underneath the trunk liner as you're putting this back together. You may have encountered those pieces. Those are used to hold the trunk liner in position where they don't want it to sink in to where the body is further back from the trunk liner than it might normally be. So be sure and put those little pieces of foam rubber back in if you have them. There were several here. In our case, it was a square one. I think it shows up right here. And there was a couple of others. So be sure and put those back in to hold the liner in position. You can tell where they were glued. They usually stick back into place. So be sure and put those in to hold things correctly. Line the liner back into place. You have to kind of feed it up under the rubber gasket so that water won't get in there. Takes a little finagling, but just get it back in place, and then you'll be ready to put the pop rivets back in. For this tie-down piece, you'll want to extend the assembly. Notice there's two pieces. There's the part that is the backer, and then there's the piece that plugs in the center. You want to extend it fully, get the backer plugged into the hole, and then snap in the center assembly. Just kind of push it in once the base is in place. For the other two standard pop rivets, I find it easier to separate the pin from the base and just go ahead and plug the base into the hole. And once you have it in position, then just snap the pin into the center and push it all the way down to lock it. And the same process for the other one. Put the base in, snap it into place where it's locked in, and then put the pin in and push it all the way down to secure everything. All right, at this point, the trunk liner is back in place. All the pop rivets are reinstalled, and we are going to verify the light works one more time, and we are good to go. I hope you found this useful. If you did, how about giving us a thumbs up? Subscribe to the channel if you're not, and come back for more next time. Thanks, and take care.